Hey everyone, Midnight Brands here again, and thought we would use this opportunity to go through and share some of the pieces around the equity index futures. And for those, we're going to have these wonderful areas and stuff that we're going to take a look at on the charts and stuff. All right, so I start off when I look at these and really try to just scale out and take a look first at kind of the symmetrical extremes. And so I've got my chart loaded up here. I've got everything from our quads to the algo pieces that I run on the indices, and then go through and just look at across several different time frames to try to look at stuff. And so I've not really looked at this, haven't updated much in terms of the anchored VWAPs and things of that nature. So I'll have to bear with us as we take a look through here. So indices kind of continue this downtrend as we've seen here over the last couple of weeks. Symmetrical extremes have been money. You can see we came back here kind of June time period and really kind of just came in on this. This is where I kind of formed the bottom end of that channel. It was kind of trending here from the highs, took it here, and then it came back and kind of redrew and updated this. So super interesting. If you zoom out, you can actually see kind of where this touched back here. What's that going to be? October of 20 had another touch there in November, right about election time period. It's got a transfer trend line actually going up there. I'll look at NQ here in a minute, but we were trending up here, after we hit these June lows. I mean, July, kind of August, really, we started hitting up, and then really, the end of this week here, like just took out, went to the upper end, came through some of these much higher time frame, um, exponential moving averages and whatnot, and then it just been trending down. So um, could be setting up here. I'm gonna go to the other chart here in a minute. So this is the SE's one. Really, if I'm on this one, like I'm just trying to get a sense of where are the symmetrical extremes. Again, deviation versus 20-day and 50-day. So I'm really just looking at this part of the charts here. So I come over actually and look at, when I say clean daily, um, but I actually added in the volume profile here, year to date, just kind of see where we've been trending, how have things been looking beginning of this year to date. And I mean, really, if you take a look here, I mean, like we're under the volume profile point of control since beginning of this year. I actually took out the volume, low volume node. If I understand this profile stuff correctly. What's interesting, I drew this the end of last night as I was looking through stuff, right? I mean, we could maybe you could say like we're setting up like kind of the mother of all bounces and yeah, I mean catch a lot of people by surprise here. It's interesting that if we did do this, it'd take us kind of up to that high volume one. Be also really interesting because it'd be kind of where we had multiple touches back here. So to me, that's kind of interesting. Not the same with NQ, but NQ's been, oh, you can see it's just been weaker. This trend line's no longer valid there. You can see here if I mean, turn on snap block. I have snap block. If you use Ninja, I have snap block set to F11 for me. Um, that is interesting there. I wonder if we do this. And one of the other pieces that I was looking at and talking to some other folks about, I'm going to do this real quick. One of the other folks that I was talking to is making points like we kind of start some of this bottoming stuff, not bottoming, but like setting lows and whatnot back here, back in September. It's interesting because we, kind of just missed it there, but like, how does this look here? I mean, like, holy shit! Like, I hadn't looked at this on the NQ, but damn, if that's not interesting. Go ahead and take this and I'm going to turn on and pick from one of my templates, transfer trend line. Hi, wow. That is that's a tad bit interesting. Let's take this now actually. And this is different from all the royal flush zone stuff that we do. This is kind of the bigger things to look at from the indices, and that was completely wrong. It needs to go right to there. So that takes us from the lower end of the channel to the upper end. This would definitely be a retracement, ABCD type of study there. I mean, that hmm, there's definitely some stuff there. That, that is definitely interesting. It's one that we have to watch for. I mean, it's predicting where the market would go, and that's never a good thing, right? I mean, you got to kind of take the levels and whatnot, and do with them as they proceed. But that is interesting. The other part of that I actually was looking at earlier was the weekly. In the weekly one, I did volume profiles in the weekly going back to the COVID lows. And what's interesting to me is on these, like, this one I've got some weekly anchored VWAPs going back quite a ways, and on the Nasdaq here you can see it held recently. All right, this was from 2018, and I mean, yeah, we certainly took that out in the COVID lows, but I mean, it was only by a week and 2 weeks and it recovered, but it had held pretty well before then, held kind of coming into here. I don't know what the fuck this is. We're gonna get rid of that. There's definitely a downtrend line here, but I don't know why it was kind of messed up there. Let's take it from here, here to there, and then it looks like it's gonna be the same thing as we just saw on the daily. And go ahead and set that. Sorry, folks. We're going through. I mean, this is kind of analysis live on the fly, and so that this is kind of what you got to look at and go through to figure out what the hell's going on and where things are at. The other one actually I forgot almost about here is this is all loading and recalculating from the volume profiles. Is I have two volume profiles in here for the NQ and NES. The first volume profile actually goes all the way back. That's why it takes a while to draw. First volume profile goes all the way back to the Great Recession. In the reason I looked at that earlier this year just because I wanted to see like where was the where were these high volume and whatnot, like, and are we seeing major gaps? And so, like, volume has certainly increased. If you look at the volume now versus back then, I mean it's way different, and that's just kind of a nature of how the markets continue to evolve and change and whatnot. So um, I found this interesting how we kind of dipped way below this area here. Um, so I don't know. It's just interesting, something to keep in mind and point of reference. Let me drag this back here real quick and zoom way the heck in. So one of the pieces that I was looking at here on a weekly basis, and actually this guy, I would almost say like this COVID lows VWAP. I mean, one, two, it's below it, broke above, closed below. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. We really need to watch and see how we do on this one here this week. And like this is kind of what I'm both worried and interested in, right? I mean, we could be setting up for this bigger ABCD down. Same thing here on NQ, which would freak the living crap out of everybody, and it candidly pisses me off. I had my sell orders in on my 401k and just forgot to hit okay. I thought I hit okay, and came back a couple days later and realized I hadn't done it. I was getting all giddy because I thought I'd executed that stupid order and I didn't. And so, in any event, it's still sitting all in there as opposed to all in cash. But yeah, so I mean, that is really, really interesting. I mean, we've definitely taken out this low here. Actually, I'm gonna not do that. I say draw a ray here. And you look from those lows, I mean that's kind of tracking that trend line. So it's not really worth much on a weekly basis. And there's definitely a bunch of wicks and demand in here. You can see like that's but we're not really close to those wicks. This was like the last one, and we're just kind of coming into that. Oh man, that's just 3 straight weeks of good, especially if you zoom out and take a look at this on the weekly level and kind of what's been going on there. And monthly is the same kind of view. If you kind of take a step back, monthly is where I found it interesting about how we've really kind of held the monthly, but this is where like, I mean, could we be setting up for an even bigger? Like, I think I was sharing this with one of the guys in kind of separate DMs that I chat with. Like, could we be setting up for that kind of a move? And then this is just kind of the. I mean, probably September is typically bearish, but hell, the market changes, it evolves. I mean, maybe this is a year it's not bearish, and maybe this starts kind of that bigger piece there, and it takes us. I mean, I don't know. This one is too uncertain for me. I'm not spending much time on it. So really, I'm thinking about the dailies and weekly. Um, the other one I've been spending a bunch of time looking at is my normal quad piece, and I'm not going to go into it right now. Um, but my normal quad piece one that I look at is on the hourly. So this just has some extra things like where are we at RSI? What are we doing with symmetrical extreme actually on the hourly for 20? Kind of tracking the 20 EMA on an hourly basis and how are things. I mean, you can see there's definitely some interesting pieces. I mean, this was kind of definitely a low here on the 20 EMA. I mean, we came up. I mean, right, 4,000 to 4070. Um, I don't know. That's something to keep an eye. I like looking at that, just getting a sense of like where things at tracking wise on the RSI perspective. Similar for NQ. How are things performing? And then the 4 hour time perspective. And these guys, I'm going to get rid of their crap now. They are way garbage. That's interesting though. Actually, looking at the 4 hour one, um, hmm, we're right in. A couple people highlighted this that is part of a service that I'm part of in 61.8. I mean, damn near to the T if you look at that. But this is kind of what makes me wonder a bit here. I wonder, take this, anchor that, turn off snap to, and then if we take this, yeah, so we didn't come down and grab all that. So that's what I don't know. And that's definitely not a 50% retrace there either. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't think this looks good at all. But then again, like you gotta be prepared. Like we could easily trap a whole bunch of folks. I mean, there's definitely some resistance here, kind of some levels. It looks like setting up at this 40-10. You see the wicks on even the 4 hour. That all looks super interesting. And from an algo perspective of where this is looking at things for next week, I mean, this area here is again kind of in that same area we just looked at 40-10, and it's right where the hell ADRs are. So this is actually a royal flush zone for the indices next week, and then there's some other kind of interesting levels. This would be my guess, be some extreme ADRs. Open this up real quick and slide it off screen. Yeah, so that's definitely some pivots in there, and it's also getting, that'd be way deep into the symmetrical extremes on that one there. And then looking at it on, where would that be? Yeah, so that would be really interesting. This would be massive. This would be a way down massive kind of thing on NQ. All right, shit, that'd be full. Oh, that crap. That's full ADRs down there at 11.6. That'd be another 500 some point day. And actually, if I think about it, give me a second here. Where is my Brave window? So if I do this 1 second, see if I can quickly add in an additional window while we stream here. Sorry, folks. Like I said, this is the second recording out of all of the fun things. So if we say this, yeah, there we go. I want to pull up and see. So there's ES, NQ, ADR details. So over the last couple of weeks, I mean, Mondays have typically been, a couple hundred points. Looks like in general since beginning of this year. I mean, it's not unheard of, right? Like we just said, they're at that. Yeah, that's interesting. Mondays are, looks like in general 250 to 400 some points. I mean, kind of the average is over the last several weeks 280, 267, 3 something. And 44% of the time year to date, it's been lower. It's all very, very interesting. Hmm. So that's kind of my take, my look at stuff on for Monday for ES and for NQ. I don't really pay attention much to RTY, which is this third block, and YM, which is the bottom block here. But just going back and look at this from a daily perspective, and that's not the most warming of views. So, but you got to take it as it comes. So, I think that's it, folks. I'm going to go ahead and I guess wrap this one. And so, oh, wait a second. Sorry, let's go back on this guy here just for the kind of closing out. So, very interesting just as this kind of closes out and what that looks like. The weekly does not look all that positive if you think about it, at least to me, but this part here is going to be really interesting to see how we respond down here at this kind of higher time frame, COVID lows, weekly anchored VWAP. You also have this one here, which would correspond to that other view, 11,450, which if I come back actually over to the algo piece for NQ, that's 11.6. So that anchored VWAP would be down here a bit more. So all very interesting. Hope the ES one does a little. It's always super interesting. So guess that's it, folks. And thanks. Hopefully, this is will prove of value. We use all these indices and equities to kind of form the opinion of what and where things might proceed for the coming days and weeks, and try to use the weekend here to look at some higher time frame analysis. So right now, my kind of view is bearish, and that's really unusual for me. I'm tend to be more optimistic, looking forward, trying to figure out what and how things can improve. So all interesting. Anywho, thanks. Hope y'all find again this content helpful. Cut through all the crap. Use the royal flush zones to wait for the right areas. Take the right entries. And if it doesn't work, doesn't work. And get out and come back and play another day. And so, yeah, take care, and we'll catch y'all later. Bye now.